if you could pay off more than $5,000 worth of debt in just 90 days. Believe it or not, thousands of ordinary Americans have done just that with the help of financial expert Dave Ramsey. Take a look.
Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
As political rhetoric heats up,
this is what an angry and desperate presidency looks like.
And politicians and presidential candidates point fingers of blame over the debt crisis, financial expert and radio host Dave Ramsey suggests that maybe American voters should redirect the finger at themselves. He says it is not just Washington that's overspending. The average American spends and borrows more than they can afford. That's led to the mortgage crisis, excessive credit card debt, and what the Wall Street Journal calls the newest bubble, student loan debt. Enter Dave Ramsey, the New York Times best-selling author known for his humor and no-nonsense approach to money, is releasing a revised and updated edition of his Financial Peace University, the 9-week course that's equipped thousands of families with practical tools and sound biblical principles that have lifted them out of debt and helped them secure their personal financial future.
I'm holding in my hand a very heavy box. It's called Financial Peace. Dave Ramsey's here. Dave, tell us about Financial Peace University.
Well, thank you, Pat. Financial Peace University is where we've gone into churches all across America. 18,000 classes taught last year, about 20-something thousand classes taught this year with this new version. It's 9 weeks of how to handle money God's and Grandma's ways. The Bible has a lot to say about money, and it turns out God's a pretty smart fella.
Okay, you've got 7 baby steps to financial peace. Give us a couple of them.
Well, what we've learned is that folks have to have a ladder to climb, and you need to very clearly outline each rung of the ladder, and that's what we've called the 7 baby steps. Baby step 1, the very first thing you do is you put $1,000 cash in the bank, and just get a little starter rainy day fund. The Bible says in the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil. And then baby step 2 is we're going to list all of our debts except our house, smallest to largest, and attack those debts with a vengeance. I mean, get excited, get intense, get focused, sell so much stuff the kids think they're next. I mean, get on fire about getting out of debt here. You got to move the needle. You got to get with it and know that MasterCard is named that for a reason. We're going to get rid of that stuff and have a plastectomy, have plastic surgery here. So you get in attack mode. You knock out all this debt because the Bible says the borrower is slave to the lender. Then in baby step 3, we go back to the $1,000 account, raise it up to a fully funded emergency fund. Baby step 4 is we start investing for our retirement. 5 is kids' college. 6 is pay off the house. And the last step is baby step 7. You've completely changed your family tree now. You're debt-free, house and everything. Your retirement is done. And now you've become wealthy and you give like crazy. This is when you really turn up the burner on the giving.
That's nirvana. The Buddhists would love to get it. That is peace and prosperity. How long will it take to get somebody out of debt?
Well, it depends on how intense they're willing to be and how passionate they are. The more passionate you are, the more hopeful you are, the deeper you will sacrifice. And there's a direct correlation between how deep you sacrifice and how fast you get out of debt. The average family that we've been coaching now for 20 years is debt-free in 18 to 24 months, not counting their home. And they're paying off their homes in somewhere between 7 to 10 years.
Dave, what is it that we're doing wrong here in America? What won't we sacrifice? I know we got to keep the kids, I'm sure, but you get rid of the dog, I mean, what do you do?
Well, I think what we're doing is we're not paying attention. You know, the Bible says where there is no vision, the people perish. And when you live your life, thank God it's Friday, oh God it's Monday, and you just live with a very short planning window, you're not thinking about eternity, you're not thinking about 10 years, you're not thinking about 15 or 20 years out, you make really bad impulsive decisions. I'm the same way, I can too. But if you'll think about where it's taking you and put a whole nobility issue over your money, meaning stewardship, I'm going to manage money for the good of my family, to change my family tree, to change my community. A good man leaves an inheritance to his families, to his children's children, the Bible says. When you start putting those kinds of things on, you make long-term decisions and much better decisions.
College loans, $1 trillion. Students are in debt. You've got Apollo, you've got the University of Phoenix there, just to name one. They've got people up to their eyeballs in debt, and they're promising them the end of the rainbow. Well, what do you do with people? I mean, you know, you've even got an ad about Mitt Romney talking about borrow money from your folks to go to get an education. Well, what about that?
Well, I think it's out of control. And honestly, the research that we have done, and I've got my third child in college right now, and so I've personally experienced it, is the average college student can go to the average in-state school, if that's all that they can afford, and actually pay cash by working. I know that's a weird idea, but it kind of sounds like child abuse, but working is a neat thing for kids to do while they're in college. And they actually can do this, because the average tuition is only about $7,000. The dorm room and dorm food is about another $7,000 with books and so forth. So somewhere around $10,000, $15,000 a year, depending on your state, you can go to school. So you've got to decide this. So part of it is a lack of parenting. Parents need to love their children well enough to guide them to a school that they can afford.
Not Harvard at 70 grand or whatever it is a year, right? Maybe.
Well, if you can afford it, I'm fine with going wherever you want to go.
Okay.
But afford it, the definition of afford it is be able to pay for it in cash.
You talk about driving free cars for life. Hey, that's a good deal. How do you get it?
Well, the problem with cars is that we all love them. And I'm a boy. I have to admit, I love cars. And the problem with the car is the average car payment right now in America is $486 over 82 months. If you were to invest $486 in a decent Roth IRA at age 30, and you do that every month from age 30 to age 70, you'll have $5.6 million in that mutual fund. Hope you like the car. Oh, my goodness, this is crazy. You know, you cannot do this. So, you know, instead do what grandmother said to do, and that's simply take the $486 and put it in a cookie jar. In 10 months, you'd have $5,000. And, hey, I'm from Tennessee, and for $5,000, I can find a pretty good car to get me back and forth to work until I save up a little more money and pay cash for a better car. If you'll do that and stay out of debt, the money you would have spent on cars invested, the interest and the growth off of that money will buy your cars for life.
Hey, that's a good plan. I remember seeing a guy that worked for Lynn Broadcasting, and he said, I want to show you $1 million a suit of furniture. And people said, $1 million? He said, that's the stock that I sold in my company. You know, to buy this stuff, it's now worth $1 million, and this is $1 million living room.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right. I think it's when people are thinking short term, they make bad decisions.
All right. How can the viewers find the biggest bargains? Where do they look for them?
Well, bargains are everywhere, and in this electronic age, we've got Craigslist, we've got eBay, we've got Groupon, we've got lots of ways to get to bargains through the internet. There's lots of services now that'll do electronic couponing for you. You can get into those. But the big thing here is to stop and think, hey, every other country in the world, you bargain to buy everything. Only in America do we drive in a leased car with credit card gas in it over to the mall and pay 110% of retail and think we got a deal because it said sale on it. You know, go in there and ask for a deal. Ask for a bargain, just like you would if you were in the bazaar or the marketplace some other country in the world.
Christy's got some questions for you, Dave.
I do, and I love this. I've got two financial gurus, one right next to me, one through the TV. So here we go.
Right.
Jane says, my husband and I are both in our early 50s. My husband thinks the economy is about to crash, so he wants to cash out his 401 retirement account, pay the penalty, and use the money to pay off our mortgage, which is approximately $80,000. Is that a good idea?
No.
If the economy crashes, it would be a good idea. I'm not in agreement that the economy is going to crash. I think we've got some serious challenges, and this election coming up is a part of that. Listen, the Bible does not say that fear is a fruit of the Spirit. And when you make financial decisions based on fear, you're going to make bad financial decisions. And cashing your 401k out and paying your tax rate plus 10%, so about a 40% hit on your money to pay off your mortgage is a bad idea. So it's kind of like saying, hey, Dave, I'm really scared, so I'm going to borrow money at 40% interest to pay off my mortgage. Is that a good idea? Quick answer, no.
Good deal. That was easy. Next question, Mike writes, I have about $10,000 in unsecured credit card debt, and I'm thinking about getting a debt consolidation loan. What do you think?
I think you can't borrow your way out of debt. Instead, I think you need to get on a really tight budget, have a garage sale, and take an extra job. My grandmother used to say there's a great place to go when you're broke, to work.
I love it. On that note, I think we've got one more, Pat. You ready? Martha says, I've heard you talk about setting up an emergency fund of $1,000. We're living paycheck to paycheck as it is. So what's the best way to build up that emergency cash flow?
Well, it's stay out of the restaurants and get yourself on a really tight budget, and again, go back to the garage sale. What you've got to do is you've got to realize the 12-steppers say continuing to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So if you don't like where you are, you've got to dramatically, forcefully, with great focused intensity, change what you've been doing, and then you'll change the results. We do reap what we sow. And so far, you've been sowing one thing and getting one thing, and it's not working for you. So let's sow something else.
Dave, we appreciate the Tennessee wisdom. Let me ask you about this Financial Peace University. How does somebody get involved? How do they sign up?
Well, as I said, there's about 5,000 or 6,000 classes at this moment being taught. There'll be about 20,000 this year. Just check our website at daveramsey.com. In most every single community across America, there's a good church teaching it right now, but we need a few more.
daveramsey.com. You're terrific. God bless you. Come back, please.
Thank you, Pat. It's an honor to be with you, sir.